Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I am a Western astrologer and Twin Soul channel. And this is a video about the full moon in Libra that's occurring on March 28th, 2021 at 2:48 p.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. I wanted to go ahead and start off by saying this is a very unique full moon. And it's one that I almost like kind of am nicknaming the moody moon because there's so much indication of being in the feels at this time and not necessarily even being in the feels over the facts. This is kind of being in the feels without the facts, sort of being in the feels, maybe a little bit in fantasy. There's some missing information here that will come to light in the months to come. And that will help clarify some of the experiences that we're all having right now. Here is the new moon down here at the 8th degree of Libra, or the full moon, I should say. It's a full moon in Libra. And right opposite it is the sun, which is always the case at a full moon. Sun opposes moon, casts light on the moon, and that's what allows it to look full. But next to the sun at the exact same degree, we have Chiron and we also have Venus. And because there's an exact conjunction here, there's the Chiron energy of this is what's bringing up all the feelings, all the woundedness, all of the questioning, all of the doubts, all of the insecurities. Because when Chiron shows up in Aries in this way, we're definite and talking to the sun, we're definitely talking about our own insecurities and the places in which we feel not good enough, or maybe we feel a bit triggered by other people, specifically in the arena of love and relationship and partnership. So, right here, Venus, she kind of governs a lot of our love and relationship, and she is the ruler of this new full moon, as the full moon sits here inside of her sign, Libra. Because this full moon is sitting inside of her sign, she's the ruler of this full moon. She's talking to Chiron and the sun. This full moon is definitely talking about kind of our battle scars in the arena of love and relationship and partnership. And this doesn't have to be just romantic partnership. This too could be business partnership. However, because of the way Chiron is showing up in the mix, these wounds, or the triggers that you're experiencing, I want to say, are based on wounds that aren't here in the present moment. The triggers that we're experiencing at this period of time are rooted in our past. And so, if you're experiencing at this moment in time, feeling very triggered in the present about present time circumstances. So, if you look around in your business partnerships, in your love relationships, if there is an experience of feeling deeply triggered, the truth of that trigger is in the past, it's not in the present. So, the way to find and undo some of this thick, stuck, heavy, triggered, projecting energy, this very wounded in the feels energy, the way to undo it is to go back and do what you need to do to forgive, release, let go, make peace with whatever happened in the past that set this wound up. So I want to offer, a question that you can journal or, meditate on, to find your way to the root. And so if there's triggering happening right now and you're looking for this root, but you can't really find it, the question to meditate on or journal about is, when was the last time I felt this way? And then you want to just make note of that and what was going on and what was the theme. When was the last time I felt this way before that? And then when was the last time I felt this way before that? And again, make note of who was involved. What was the theme? Where was this taking place in your life? What area of life? What was the core root feeling that you had? And trace this all the way back to the very beginning, the very first time that you felt this way. And in so doing, you can start to understand how many times all of us are carrying from our past wounds and burdens and triggers from the past that we're all trying to shield ourselves from having to re experience a second time or a third, fourth, fifth time. Whatever that wounding is that's driving the bus at this moment in time, at this full moon is giving us the opportunity for resolution and healing with the prominent position of Chiron. And that resolution really comes from recognizing our own enoughness and our own worthiness as Chiron, Sun, and Venus sit here in the sign of Aries, the sign of the self. So it may take a little bit of digging, but you've got some time with this energy. This energy will be around us for at least another week. It certainly showed up in the last 7 to 10 days. And if you're noticing that this stuff is coming up for the people around you, they're a little bit touchy, a little bit moody, a little bit withdrawn, or the opposite, projecting, a little bit blamey, a little bit finger pointy, just know that, for all of us in the collective at this moment in time, people's stuff is just up. And it's up so that they can heal it. But sometimes, in order to heal it, they have to re-feel it. It's almost like I ate those I ate that meal and it went in and it didn't taste so good going in the first time. But in order for my body to heal the poison, I have to spit it up back out. I have to vomit it out. And it tastes even worse coming out the second time, but they're just trying to process it through so that they can heal. So, provide space, compassion. This is definitely not the time to have significant conversations about things, as during this particular full moon, we have a pretty close conjunction between Neptune, which is facts and Neptune, which is illusion, delusion, deception, the unseen world, the spiritual realms, and Mercury. Mercury here represents facts, concrete information, communication. When we have the dissolver communicating with the mind and communication, things don't always go so well. Neptune also represents our mirrors. And so a lot of what can show up as people are trying to have significant conversations at this time are mirrors as opposed to clarity. So if you're recognizing you're triggered by a certain something in your business partnerships, your romantic relationships, your work partnerships, take the opportunity to look for what is the root of the trigger for me, because it's likely not over there with them at this particular full moon. They are triggering you to be able to look at what the root is inside of yourself. Okay. So, and because that mirror effect is here, and there's Neptune and mind talking to one another, one of the challenges we're facing is just the unavailability of clarity, but the hyper availability of our access to the spiritual realms. And so this is a beautiful time for meditative practice, for the opportunity to tap in with your guides and check in like, hey, if this is me, give me a sign, help me see it. If this is my wounding, flash me a memory so that I can understand where this is coming from in me. If this is, just a vibrational kind of issue here for me where my energy is off or just not a match for what's going on around me, Guides, give me a sign, give me a sensation. This, when Mercury and Neptune talk in that precise conjunction in this way, it thins the veils between the worlds, because the veil specifically is the conscious mind, the mind that allows us to think, to know, to rationalize, the mind that's attached to the ego. And with Mercury talking to Neptune in this way, and Neptune being the great dissolver, it operates like waves on a beach that wash up onto the beach and then drag everything that it touches back out to sea. With Neptune operating in that way, it's literally dragging conscious mind out to sea, so that all that can be left is our connection between subconscious and the unseen world, which is why this isn't the most rational period of time for people. It's not the most clear period of time. We have a conscious and subconscious for a reason. Both are needed, both ego and spirit are required. But this is a period of time where, because of the triggers to the ego and the disillusion of the conscious mind, there's a bit of an energy of like chicken running around with head cut off, just a tad. And what's amplifying that is this conjunction between Mars and North Node, as Mars has finally gotten to the other side of the North Node. And this is bringing a ramping up of the energies. Mars represents motivation. It is the motor. Mars is what drives us forward. And so with Mars in the sign of Gemini, there's certainly motivation there to speak, but with the ruler of Gemini hanging out in Pisces, the unseen world, with the dissolver and illusion maker Neptune, what we speak about is likely, it's nonsensical. It's not very clear at this moment in time. It may be based in delusion as opposed to facts. So this is why it's really important to pay attention to what the triggers are, as the triggers are all originating from within us. That's the sign of Aries. And communicate with ourselves about it, with our spirit team about it, get that kind of intuition about it, so that when we are ready to have a conversation in a few weeks' time, the conversation can be more grounded with a bit of personal accountability and reality. We can take the charge that's been hanging out with us from the past out of the present moment's situation, and have the opportunity to deal with the present moment with present moment energy and emotion, as opposed to dragging the past into the present. Okay. So it's a great opportunity for healing. If any of you are seeing healers or have appointments scheduled with healers or want to make appointments with healers, this is a great time to do it. It's a beautiful opportunity for getting in touch with that which is within us that we couldn't always see. A lot of our true feelings during this period of time will be right on the surface, yet difficult to share. Those true feelings, while true enough, they're not necessarily based on the present. Okay. They're valid. They're just valid in association with past experiences more so than present. Let's see what else my notes say about this. There's also a bit of uncovering of some of our wounds here to our ambitions. So, the sign of Aries and its ruling planet Mars, these two energies, the sign and the planet, they talk about our ambition, our drive, the things that we want to generate out of our beingness on planet Earth. And because Chiron and Venus are both sitting here, there's a bit of emotional woundedness and pain. And specifically the proximity of Ceres here and the opposition with the moon here, some of this woundedness for many on the planet at this time has to do with an absence of mom, an absence or emotional unavailability of family, and an emotional unfulfillment of our feminine energy or an emotional non-recognition of our own feminine energy by our masculine energy. Aries is a very masculine sign. Libra is also a masculine sign. They're both masculine energies. And so, but the ruler of the sun here being Mars, and this whole configuration where the triggers are coming up being inside of Aries, this is a little bit about a disconnect between masculine and feminine energies, and recognizing that, maybe not recognizing there's a way in which the masculine side isn't fully recognizing the feminine, or the feminine side isn't fully receiving the masculine. And that disconnect is also what can be contributing to some of the deep triggering energy here. And the mom piece has a lot to do with the absence. If there was an absence of mom, and an absence of emotional availability, an absence of loving, tender care from mom, maybe you were raised by dad. Maybe mom died very early in your life, but dad couldn't produce the energy of mom, right? There's a bit of that connection at this time to the part that's been deeply unfulfilled. And so this is a call at this time to pay attention and start nourishing, nurturing, and fulfilling ourselves, becoming that mother to self, loving, nurturing, and mothering self through this transition. Okay, so we covered that part. Okay. Yeah. This, because of the way the moon also sits with the shaman's asteroid here, shaman's asteroid being Make Make, this generates also a bit of a willingness to learn from our lovelornness, a willingness to peel back the curtain and see, okay, yeah, I've been dealing with this particular heartbreak for how long, or this particular soul break for some time now. What is it going to take for me to heal? What's the price that I would need to pay to finally heal that up until this point I've been unwilling to pay? The shaman's asteroid in this configuration gives us the opportunity to look within and find the answer to that. So, one of the things that happens in my practice, for example, regularly, I'll meet someone who will tell me, I've been single for 10 years, I've been single for 12 years or 15 years, and I really want to love again. I want to open my heart again. I want someone to love me, to be a part of my world again. I want to share life with someone again. And I get jealous or envious or frustrated when I see this happening around me, but it's not happening for me. And so the question you can meditate on and use during this full moon is, okay, so what have I tried? List that all out and have a look. And what's the one thing I have not tried or been unwilling to try that scares me the most, but would probably get me the biggest breakthrough? If you can answer that question, this full moon period can be significantly healing for you. If that's an example of the way to use this, the energy of this. Think about the ambition, the goals, the desires, the things you want, and where you have a story of not enoughness or that can't be for me-ness. Take a look at that area of your life and give yourself permission to look and see, what's the price that I've been yet unwilling to pay in order to have that. Once you have your clarity about that, this Mars energy will ensure that you can start moving forward on that from here. Okay. So we've got the Mars piece, Gemini conjunct the North Node. I'm also really loving this because collectively, not Gemini, sorry, Mars conjunct the North Node in Gemini. Mars used to be back here behind the North Node. And you can see the majority of planetary energy hanging out in this chart is all happening on one side of the wheel. And because of that, because there's such a huge stack on one side of the wheel, this is what's been causing so much of the tension, frustration, misguided, misdirected energy among the humans on planet Earth. With Mars now popping out on the other side of the wheel, and soon to follow will be Mercury, Venus, and Sun popping out on the other side of the North Node here. Once we have a break in this kind of stagnation and concentration of energy, we're going to find that there is a significant moving forward of life. And we're already starting to see some of that. Certain countries are starting to open back up, look for safe ways to reopen their economy. And some people aren't even concerned about safety. They're just like, let's go right now. And that's the Mars energy. Mars is the motor energy, and it wants to move forward immediately. And where the Mars energy is in your individual chart, this is the place, because this is the first pop out of this entire year for of the planetary energy from behind the opposite side of the North Node. And because where the North Node sits is where our energy follows, and the North Node is going to be in the sign of Gemini all year, where Mars and the North Node sit at this particular time in your chart, in your Gemini house. This is the house where you are going to find that you receive the most motivation to figure your stuff out, to work things through. And this will become a theme for the rest of 2021. So if you're curious about that, readings are definitely open and available on my site. Just head over to kmoonastro.com and you'll find that you can book readings there to look at, okay, what's going to be my North Node Mars focus for 2021. Because if you can leverage and harness the energy of Mars now while it's talking to the North Node, you're going to find that the opportunity to catapult and quantum leap in this area of life is going to be magnified. Secondly, if you're resisting this energy, it feels too hard, too heavy, there's too much inertia, too much baggage. The resistance is just going to make life far more complicated in the months to come. And you'll find you keep running into stumbling blocks where there could be a smooth road. So if you want to look into that, just head over to kmoonastro.com and we will take a look at your chart. So this motor energy is in effect, providing a bit of release for all of us from some of the pent upness that we've had in the last 6 months. In addition to that, there's a new direction energy here, which is nice. New habits can be formed at this time, new behaviors, new thought processes, new communication patterns. All of this can happen with North Node conjunct Mars, but the more you can take advantage of it literally right at this time, the faster you're going to be able to get traction on it. Okay. There's also, with Gemini as a group sign, it's a sign that talks about siblings, cousins, neighbors, extended family, small groups, social media. There's a big motivation to start reconvening in groups and in community at this time. And there's a particular assertive and initiative taking energy that goes along with this as well. Mars provides that courageousness to take risks, take leaps. And in the light, it provides a lot of passion. And it's a place where emotions and passionate action can meet. And so there's going to be a lot of motivation in whatever house is hosting your Mars and your North Node, the transiting North Node at this time, which is very helpful for all of us in the collective and individually as well. Okay, we talked about women, we talked about mothers. Yep, okay. And so what may be happening, and I broached this earlier, with the Neptune conjunct Mercury energy. This is a bit of a square with Mars squaring this Neptune conjunct Mercury, or squaring this Mercury, less so the Neptune. Some of what this energy can express itself like is the need for lots of conversation, trying to figure stuff out, wanting to, specifically in spiritual circles, spiritual arenas, needing to get to the spiritual truth of things or explore, spiritual, a real motivation to explore our spirituality at this time. So this, as much as you're able to keep it in the realm of, exploring your spirituality and your spiritual nature and what's spiritually true for you, and keep it out of the realm of, I'm going to come over here and pick a bone with you, someone else. As much as you can keep it to yourself for now and do some internal work, the more value you will receive out of this full moon. However, there are some of us, and I get it, there are some of us who do our best processing work, our best exploration work, our best clarity coming to work when we are in conversation with other people. This, however, is not the time to work things through with other people. But if you are a type of person who needs a place for someone to hold space verbally for you, this is an opportunity to find that friend, find that therapist, find that coach who can allow you to just share what's going on for you and just listen while you hear yourself and sort through what's going on. Because at the moment, there aren't a lot of solutions. There's motivation to deal with stuff, but until Mercury is done talking to Neptune, and that'll be, I guess, in 2 weeks' time, for sure, certainly by the end of next week. Once Mercury's done talking to Neptune, then we'll have greater clarity about what there is to do. Right now, there's just motivation to kind of figure it out, like the motor has turned on quite a bit. So, in trying to have these conversations with other people, because Mars is squaring this energy, I mentioned the lack of clarity already. There's argumentation without full facts about what we're arguing about. There can be a pushiness. Mars can kind of appear in shadow as opposed to in the light. In shadow, Mars can be very pushy. There can be a lot of wit, but some sharp tonguedness, like the things you say can really sting at this time because of the way Chiron is talking to Sun. People are just more sensitive at this moment. Mars in shadow is also very aggressive, and you do get the shadow side of Mars when Mars is hanging out in a square or an opposition. And we do have a square here with Mars square Mercury. And as a result, ultimately, as I mentioned earlier, there can just be a lot of blamey, finger pointy kind of energy here. So to the degree that you're able, suspend significant conversations, do all of your clarity coming to spiritual work now, like do your purging if you need to do that with people you can trust. And then allow the clarity to come through. Start looking for your signs, ask your spirit team to give them to you about where the root of the issue is for you. Because much of whatever's coming up right now, for sure, is a mirror. If someone's trying to bring it to you, it was already inside of you. If you're trying to bring it to somebody else, the issue is likely yours, not theirs. So this is a really important moon for taking the time to be really accountable before we speak. Okay. Let's just see last things here. And if any of this is really resonating for you, you're finding yourself really triggered, you're finding other people around you very triggered, you're feeling not so clear, or you're feeling super motivated to do your deep spiritual work, I'm going to ask that you go ahead and give this video a like. And if you're new here, subscribe and give it a like. That's what helps the content circulate. Thank you so much for doing that. Okay, so let's talk about Saturn, because Saturn is definitely in the mix. Here's our friend Saturn, a key player for 2020. Saturn is sextiling this Venus Chiron Sun configuration. Saturn is trine the moon. Here's the moon in the configuration. And what this is providing is a bit of strengthened emotions. So, emotional conviction that I've got to figure this out. I've got to get to the bottom of this. Um, or strengthened, even in some cases, loyalty or commitment can be high here. There's also a lot of stability and increased intuition with Saturn talking to Moon in this way. And because we're talking about the sign of Aquarius and the sign of Libra, both of these signs really deal with other people. Your intuitions about other people and what may be going on with them is likely to be very spot on at this time. If you do any type of mediumistic channeled reading, healing work of any modality, psychotherapeutic work, coaching work, and you work with people in such a way where you have to understand them in order to help them, your intuitive capacities at this moment in time are probably extremely heightened about what may be going on with them. Because, like I said, the veil is very thin at this moment. So, your capacity to see into things is much higher than normal. Okay. All right. And then, okay, we got the Saturn piece in here. Yeah. Okay. And I think we covered all the pieces. So thank you. If like I said, if you're new, go ahead and subscribe. And if any of this, all of this has resonated for you, please hit that like button. Know that what's true for one person doesn't mean that it has to be true for everyone. So listen for the pieces in this that validate your intuition about your experience at this time, because these energies can play out in multiple different ways. And if you're one of my new star schoolers, welcome. Definitely have a listen to class number 1 and 2, because in those two classes, you're going to be able to locate where that Gemini house is in your chart. You're also going to have greater understanding of what to do with this energy based on the house that Gemini North Node conjunction rests in. It's so lovely to be able to work with you and read for you and collectively. If you'd like a personal reading, head on over to kmoonastro.com. You can go ahead and set that up. The April calendar is wide open, and I would love to be able to read for you. Take great care, and bye for now.